T-Shape 2 is not just a technology, but a real technological workstation. With this new project, we will really be able to treat our clients at 360 degrees, both from the point of view of beauty, hence working on imperfections, but also in terms of well-being. I will now illustrate this pathway, so I will be a little bit of a guide to the various steps that we will have to take in order to treat imperfections at 360 degrees. So let's start with the first thing we have entered, which is the client file. We select customer list. All the customers that have already been entered in the master data will appear. We choose one and we see all the data. The first part is the master data, which means address, telephone number, and email address, profession. In the notes, you can enter, for example, the source from which the customer came. In this case, we put Facebook ad. Then we proceed instead to the survey. So we will ask a series of questions to make an assessment on what could be the lifestyle, starting from the physical activity, diet, intake of liquids. There is always a space for notes where we are going to put all the references. Second part, pathologies, possibly pharmacological therapies or even surgeries. Therefore, all those details that can be useful to make an evaluation of the contraindications. We then move on to the anthropometric analysis. In this part, by entering data such as weight and height, the BMI will be calculated automatically. So you don't have to manually do all the calculations that are normally done when the form is filled out on paper. In fact, we can see that this person weighs 68 kilograms and is 1 meter 65 inches tall. The machine tells me the BMI is 25, so the subject is overweight. With the insertion of two other data, which are the waist circumference and hip circumference, it automatically calculates the morphology. So with these measurements, the body shape will be that of a gynoid subject. We also have automatically inserted, based on the morphology to which they belong, some specific dietary advice, which will then be given in paper form to the customer. So there will be advice for gynoid, android, or mixed subjects. But not only that, as we have seen in the previous screens, the survey asks if the subject is a menopausal woman. So if that is the case, the diet will therefore be related to her morphology, but also appropriate for the menopausal woman. The same applies if there are intolerances such as lactose or gluten. So all this information that will be included in the form will already give us a pre-selection of an appropriate dietary education. Let's move on to the next screen, which is the visual test. So this part is used to assess cellulite. The operator will only have to make a visual and tactile assessment. And then by entering the various aspects that are found, we will automatically have this state of cellulite in its exact stage. In fact, as you can see in this case, we will have a stage 2 cellulite. But if I insert this data, for example, it will automatically give me a type 3 cellulite. Hence, with a different evaluation, the exact state of imperfection will obviously change. Since there are more handpieces available, each problem will be treated specifically with a handpiece. And consequently, a careful and precise evaluation will lead us to have our data from a diagnostic point of view. In this screen, there will be a list of the sessions carried out, with the type of treatment and also the duration. While in this part, we are going to insert the treatment protocol. I add session, and here I'm going to select the type of protocol. So if it is a preset protocol or a manual one, in the notes, I will put the number of sessions, and then we will find it directly on our list. Last part, acquisition of the thermal camera. One of the T-Shape 2 handpieces, as you have already seen in the video, is a thermal imaging camera, which means that this laser technology will be used to make an assessment of the various body temperatures, therefore of the various zones. Obviously, in the notes we are going to write down what is necessary, in particular the zone, in order to be able to make an assessment during treatment. Let's go back to our main screen and see the protocols that have already been pre-selected. We have two types here, so we can work with the pre-selected protocol or the manual, which is the expert mode for those who already know the traditional T-shape technology. It's the working method that we have used so far, that there are free settings and the connected handpiece will be recognized automatically. In this case, we have the roll handpiece and the multipolar handpiece, which then appear both on the screen. Now let's take a look at the protocols. I will select the gender, therefore man or woman. I will select body or face, the area I want to treat, and at this point I will also select the blemish. You will see that the first thing to appear in the product that can be used on that specific blemish, a product that must be applied as it was done before the treatment, with one difference. The multipolar handpiece will be identified. The one that will do the electroporation, the procedure will last 3 minutes. So when we go to activate the treatment, we will work precisely for 3 minutes. Then the specific protocol will begin. As you can see, it says soft fat. I have selected the area and the type of imperfection. And then the screen tells me that I will have to use the roll handpiece and that I will start with mode 2 for a time of 3 minutes. As you can see, there's also a GPS that shows you exactly what you're going to be doing. So all the protocols, manuals, all the stuff that's always been delivered on paper, from now you will have it directly on the screen. Once the M2 mode is finished, we will switch to the M3 mode automatically. Then the treatment will stop and you will resume with the second mode, as well as the third, obviously with all the different tracks, and as well as the fourth. Once one side is finished, the same thing will be repeated on the other side. In these protocols, we have also included an additional part beside the standard, so the operator can choose whether to suspend the treatment, thus ending the mode that treats the abdomen exclusively, or to continue with a part of the treatment that is more functional. In fact, we have included the metomeric massage, which will stimulate the metomeres here on the back, thus improving organic functions. In addition to the body protocols, there are of course also facial protocols. There are various types of treatment, including complete anti-aging, mouth focus, eye focus, neck, and cleavage. Here too we will find a series of recommended products, for example for electroporation. At the end, there is also a recommendation for what could be the suggested home treatment. In this case, we have included the T-shape fill kit. Here too, we will start with the electroporation part, then the treatment will begin with all its tracings. Let's start with a practical test. So now we're going to use the mesosphere handpiece, which, as you can see, is a special handpiece consisting of over 45 ultra-soft silicone spheres. This is an important feature because it can treat even particularly sensitive tissues. The massage activated by the rotation of the spheres produces a micro vibration. the power of which depends on the areas and imperfections to be treated. This technology acts mainly on the venous and lymphatic circulation. In fact, this is one of those treatments that could be included in work protocols that aim to prepare the connective tissue and also work on the functionality, both from the lymphatic and blood point of view. In addition to this, the handpiece also stimulates the production of collagen and elastin, besides increasing and enhancing oxygenation. As a consequence, there will also be an induced lipolytic action, as it will contribute precisely to the oxidation of fatty acids. Among other things, this handpiece has other functions. For example, this technology can be used independently of the preparatory part, so not only and exclusively when it comes to preparing the tissue. The imperfections that we can then go on and treat are adiposity, localized cellulite, or we can simply carry out a massage with a decontracting action in accordance with the protocol, for example, as we find in personalized protocols. Let us now get to the heart of a treatment. The treatment that will be carried out with a personalized protocol, we will select the area we wish to treat. In this case, the buttocks and hips, and the type of imperfection. As you can see, there is the electroporation part. The suitable product that can be used is also highlighted, and an expected time of 3 minutes to electroporate the ampule will start automatically. We now proceed with the roll handpiece technique. The impulse modes in this case, in the personalized protocols, are already pre-selected, meaning that they will have a specific duration. Therefore, M2, which will make a deep drainage, or M3, which will make a superficial drainage, will last as long as it is dictated by the technology. So it will no longer be necessary to constantly look at the clock to see how many minutes have passed. Among other things, there are also other data. Among other things, there are also data, parameters, which will already be preset, which are the frequency of the radiofrequency. So depending on the tissue we are going to treat, we could work with 0.5 megahertz, 1 or 1.5. The activation of the lipolytic laser, low-level laser therapy, or infrared laser. What will the operator have to do? He only has to raise the radiofrequency parameters, for example, the radiofrequency intensity and the vacuum intensity.